Welcome back to TV5 News at 9. It's another edition of Ask the County. And joining us this morning is our great friend, Saginaw County Treasurer Tim Novak. Tim, thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Yeah. So we're all excited for the holidays. We were just talking about that before we got out of break. So we don't want to forget about property taxes, though, and that's happening and it's due next year. So most homeowners should have their bills by now. Remind us, how can they pay those?
Yeah, so every year you get in the summer in July,
Okay.
and then the first week in December, you get tax bills from your local township, city, or village, right? So that's when you're supposed to pay those. So super important that you remember that you're getting those, because if, like, let's say they get lost in the mail or you miss them, you're still obligated to pay those. So super important that people call the office and say, hey, listen, you know, I didn't get this, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And so you're still obligated to pay. And at this point in time, you're still paying at your, the city, township, or village. You're still paying at the local municipality, and you have until the 28th of February in order to pay those there, both your summer and your winter bill, if you still haven't paid your summer.
And Tim, what happens if someone maybe forgets or doesn't pay their bill by the deadline?
So if you for whatever reason you missed the deadline, on March 1st, the taxes they get all sent to the county. So at that point in time, that becomes the county treasurer's responsibility to collect the property taxes from there, starting on March 1st of that following year. So then interest starts to build every month on the balance. So it's not the end of the world. We get people that call in extreme panic. They've never been late before. It's never happened. Maybe their house was in escrow for 30 years and now it's not. That's a common mistake, right? That first year wasn't, the bank didn't pay them. And it's like, panic, the interest is a small amount, but they are due at the county treasurer at that point in time.
And Tim, if someone may be going through, maybe some financial hardships, especially, right after the holidays, are there any, maybe programs or options to help people in that situation?
So one thing I always urge people to do is make sure they call the office. So staff is trained to kind of walk through the different options that may be available. Some people don't understand the principal residence exemption. There's disabled veterans exemptions available. There's poverty and hardship exemptions available for your current year taxes that we can instruct you to go back to your, the local city or township and apply for a hardship exemption on your current taxes. There's ways to manage your way through. Sometimes there's been step forward and might have programs available, which at the moment there aren't any, but there's organizations that may be able to help certain people out. So call the office if you're struggling, if you have questions or anything. You always call the office and we can walk you through what and help you out. Maybe we can lower your tax bill or find ways to manage your tax bill so that we don't have bad consequences happen.
There we go. And Tim, are there any other deadlines that we should know about when it comes to like our taxes or anything else?
So it's super important to understand that every month, on the first of the month, the new interest gets added on the balance owing. So if you're paying partial payments, you can chip away at the balance. Throughout the years, there's other ones. There's a forfeiture fee that gets added that's a larger amount, and the interest goes retro back. That's after your taxes are delinquent for 2 years. There's publication fees. There's other ones that kind of get added on. They're super important. Really, probably the most important one is 3 years after the taxes have been assessed and billed to you. If you haven't paid them or made arrangements or something, then the county has the statutory duty by law to foreclose on that property. So then you would lose interest in that property. We don't. That's not the goal. The goal is to collect property taxes, right? So I always tell people. But it's super important to understand that deadline is not our deadline. It's not arbitrary. We didn't come up with it. It's a state deadline that, by March 31st, you have to have that year paid, a certain year paid, and then on April 1st, you'll foreclose.
And Tim, again, if anyone were to have any questions about what we just discussed, who should they reach out to? What should they do?
So they should reach out to the county treasurer's office at the courthouse. So you can either stop in at 111 South Michigan Avenue at the county administration building. You can call 989-790-5225. Treasurer at SaginawCounty.com. All of those methods are all great ways to get in touch with the office. The website has some information, but when you call, somebody answers the phone in the office, and sometimes that's the best way to kind of walk yourself through or bring in any paperwork that you have. Bring it in. If it's not ours, if it's for something else, we'd be more than happy to, we'll direct you the right direction. But, the deadlines and the fees and the interest, all those things, those are all statutory in the general property tax law. We don't make those deadlines. We're just, it's in charge of enforcing them and make sure people, but we work with people, and the goal is to collect taxes versus foreclosing. So
Right.
Please don't ever be too scared to call. That's
Yeah.
always the message to folks when I'm out. Don't ever hesitate to make that phone call.
Yeah.
Staff's not there to give you a hard time. They're not going to do that kind of stuff. So.
It's important to note that you guys are there to help
Yes, thank you.
at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Tim, as always, we thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask the county, send them on over to us. Send them to WNEM@WNEM.com. We'll be right back.